Welcome to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne, America's #1 Take Action Success Coach and Strategist, empowering, educating, inspiring, and igniting people like you to take action with jet propulsion. Today, I'm really excited. We are going to organize you. And it's funny because this month is my productivity and habit tracker workshop. So this goes right in line with it because productivity is actually amped up by being organized. So today we have Jan Arkwright on. She's the owner of Before and After Organizing by Jan, a professional organizing company servicing Nassau County, Western Suffolk County, and Queens in New York. Prior to starting her professional organizing career in 1997, oh my gosh, that's not even possible. She was 5. Jan was a practicing attorney juggling multiple projects and a lot of paperwork. And Jan brings her innate passion for organizing, attention to detail, and project management skill to every client in order to help them achieve their vision of an organized, serene space. The systems she implements with her clients are successful because they are easy to maintain, they're realistic, and tailored to each client's personality and lifestyle. So important. And Jan's services include decluttering, paper flow, time management, kitchen, pantry, closet organization, and space optimization. And she is a member of the Institute for Challenging Disorientation, ICD, and a Golden Circle member of the National Association of Productivity, yay us, and Organizing Professionals, which is NAPO. Welcome to the show, Jan. I'm so excited.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I am excited too.
Yeah, it's how I feel about organizing, being organized. And we were talking before the show about how clutter really clutters our brains, and it kind of stops us from doing what we're supposed to do. It also stops us from having abundance come in because it already looks like we have abundance. So we have no space for more. So what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. The more we have in our life that doesn't serve us, the more we're unable to, like you said, have this stuff in our life that does. And what ends up happening is people end up, for whatever reason, building accumulation of stuff, which is very easy, especially in this age of Amazon and really quick overnight delivery, So
Yeah.
people end up, oh, it's so much easier to say, oh, I'll just buy it on Amazon, or I'll go out and go, let me go get it again, rather than actually see if we have the item. So that does contribute a lot to abundance. But it also comes from just accumulating stuff and then not making the decision or taking the time to actually clean out what no longer serves you to keep what remains.
Yes.
And that being said, it is easier for some people rather than others. So it's
Yeah.
not across the board even.
So an obvious question is, how did you get into this? You were an attorney. I went to law school. How did you get into this profession, knowing that you went to law school?
So I was practicing. I never really loved it. I always felt like a lot of, at least in my practice areas, I felt like a lot of it was just like who could serve the bigger motion. A lot of it was postponed, and I felt like things never got done. And I've always been a very organized kind of list making kind of person. And one day I read about the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. And I went to a meeting in the city and I was like, these are my people. Like, this is what I want to do. This is how I feel my purpose in life is. I want to help people who really struggle with this, because it comes more naturally to me and I can see things more clearly. And I especially really wanted to work with people who struggle. I mean, I'm a generalist, meaning I do a little bit of everything, but I really enjoy working with people who are chronically disorganized and overwhelmed, and people who are neurodivergent, some ADHD, OCD. They have a harder time. And so I left organizing and I left being a lawyer and I started over time. Took me a little while to build it up, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I love what you said too about organizing. It's, similar to coaching, is it's easier for us to look inside somebody else's situation, life, and be able to say, well, here are your options. It's hard to look at it because you have other things. Sometimes it's sentiment attached to it. Sometimes it's a lack or scarcity issue that you're not even aware that you have. So you're holding on things because now you have them. And what if you don't have them again? I used to suffer from the what if. That was inherited from my dad. It's like, what if I need this? So I have this stupid little piece of paper for no apparent
Yeah.
reason. So we get ourselves out of that by having a professional like you come in and say, well, have you used it? Are you using it? Maybe right now, I like to call it giving someone an opportunity to give it a home where they're going to use it now. We can always get it again, right? So the abundance is there when you have that abundance mindset is I can get it again when I'm ready to use it, when I'm ready to have it. Like if you're getting something, especially if you're buying from Amazon, are you going to use it now? Can you wait till next month? Can it wait? So that does a lot of things. It's one from budgeting, one from mindset, and one from you don't have all this clutter around you. So, how does a professional organizer help our listeners get organized? What do you do?
So let's say you would just call me off the street. So the first step is always to find out the why. Why did you reach out now? What was it about now that made you reach out for the phone
Why does
call
that make a difference?
consultation? Because you have to be ready. You have to be ready to change. It's like everything else. People will say, can I give you as a gift certificate? And I always say, absolutely, but is the person ready for this? Because you have to want it yourself. If you don't want it yourself, it's not going to happen. So I want to know from my clients, why did you reach out? What is your goal? Because we always have to keep a goal in mind because as you start going through the process and you start going decluttering and going through some of the harder sentimental items and things like that, and there's decluttering questions that we help ask, but most of the time a lot of it is going back to the goal of why you call me. Is your goal to clear your dining room table so you can have Sunday dinner with your family? What's your goal? So we start there. I take a consultation, ask a lot of questions. Then I would come into your home or your office. And again, I ask a lot of questions. We work side by side, especially in the beginning, because I have to set up a system that works for you. I have
Right.
to understand, why did you put this here? Why is that there? What's your routine in the morning? Why are your clothes on the chair, not in the closet? So there's a lot of fact finding that I need to know about you, which is
Right.
what makes organizing very personal because you're letting people into your house. Then from there, there's an acronym. There's different acronyms. The one I use with my clients is SPACE, and it was termed by Julie Morgenstern, who's a veteran organizer. And she wrote a book years ago, Organizing from the Inside Out, and she uses this acronym SPACE. And SPACE stands for sort, purge, assign it a home, containerize, and equalize. So first we start by going through and sorting and purging, which is always the first step. I always tell people never buy anything. People want to jump right to buying the baskets, right to buying the pretty stuff. That comes way down the road, even if it has to come, because most people have what they need in their house. There are a
Right.
lot of things you can shop. I always say shop your home first. So first we sort it and purge it, because sometimes when you go around your house or your closet or your room and you say, oh my gosh, oh, I only have 5 black tank tops. And as you go around, you find 5, 7, 10. Well, how many do you really need? And that kind of goes back to your thing before. A lot of times it's need versus want. We don't need as much, we need less than we want. So
Sure.
we go through that, and then once we've kind of sorted and purged, and by purged, I mean, we try to keep as much out of the landfill as possible. So donation is very, very big.
Sure.
Repurpose, absolutely.
Give it a new home is what I tell it.
Then, yep, exactly. You can always have a second life. And then that's when we assign the items a home. We containerize them. We figure out how we're going to put them in a home. Is it going to be a basket, a bin, on a shelf? And and then equalize, which is basically maintain. Because the idea behind organizing, for the most part, is we're in a profession where the goal of our job is to not have a job at the end. Because
Yes.
to teach you, the client, the skills so that you may need to have us come in once in a while, especially those with who have ADHD. Maintenance visits are a very important part. But most clients, when we finish the project, I might come back 3 months later for a touch up. Life changes, systems change. Life is not static. Your systems aren't static. But the idea behind organizing is that if I teach you the skills, then when you have to say make a new folder or rearrange something because you got, I don't know, 10 more sweaters for Christmas, you can go ahead and how to do it without me there.
Yeah, you have the know-how, you have the whys in the hows. And I
Yep,
love that. It's similar to coaching. A good coach will leave you so that you have all the tools you need when we're not in the room with you. So I love that you do that. I was wondering what equalize was, but maintaining is important. And I find that if you have a place for it, and that's one of the things is find a place for it, right?
yep,
Assign it to a place, give it a home. It's easier to put it away because you know it belongs here. So then you're more likely to put it away because it's easy. It's there. We know where it's going. We don't have to figure it out or mush it in or find a spot for it. That's when you start using, treadmills as a clothes hanger, is because you have too many clothes in your closet, quite frankly, because you don't have a hanger available and you just throw it on and it's just
100%.
easier. So
Mhm,
this, when you go through this, what do you call it? The SPACE system, that SPACE acronym, it sounds
mhm.
like you really empower someone to take control back and have that moment because it's so nice. I don't know if any of our listeners have done it recently. I know I do periodically. Is I'll like clean off my desk. And then it's just so different when you walk in the next day because it's clean and everything has its spot and you're organized and you know where things are. Very important. You know where things are. So I love that you do that. What are the negative impacts of clutter? We spoke about a couple of them.
So clutter, they've actually proven that there is a direct link between clutter and increased cortisol levels. And that it's been proven that the more clutter you have, the more anxious you get, the more your cortisol levels rise. So what happens is if you have too much clutter, so then, well, as we spoke about, visually you're bombarded with all this stimuli. It's very, very hard for your brain to process all that at the same time. So
Yeah.
now your brain's trying to make sense out of what's there. Um, so then it makes you anxious. It makes you overwhelmed. People start to feel very depressed and upset with themselves, like, why does my house look like this? Jane Smith's house doesn't look like that. There's something wrong with me. And they start with the negative self-talk.
Yeah, no.
So clutter, I mean, then there's also, allergens, dust, because let's face it, if you have especially like a room full of like books and papers and stuff, all that harbors allergens and dust. So people who live under the same household, if you have one who's more organized, one who's not, can tend to be friction, arguments, how come you can never find your car keys? How come we're always late for this? How come you can't so it causes friction between family members as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, clutter just, when you were saying before about when you clean off your desk, on the flip side, when you start to declutter and you start to see this, wow, like you feel your cortisol level go down. You take a deep breath. I call it the hotel theory, right? When you go on vacation and you open the door to a hotel room, it's like you immediately feel, right, like relaxed. Why do you feel relaxed? Because you look around, there's nothing.
Yeah.
The room is clear, it's an empty space, and it just immediately you kind of like deflate yourself. You're like, oh, I can breathe. There's a lot to be said for that feeling in your own home.
Yeah, it's like going to the spa. Think about it. Think about the places you go to relax, like hotels, like
Yeah.
spas. They don't have a lot in the room. It's very minimalist. And there's a purpose behind that so that you don't get overwhelmed by input, that you're actually experiencing a moment of silence and quiet in your own brain. Because even though we may not be thinking about it, our brains are working and taking inventory of everything that's in front of us.
Yes.
So it just gives us an opportunity to take a rest, take a breath. What about on the opposite side, conversely, the positive results of decluttering?
Well, so besides all the healthy, the cortisol level goes down. You give yourself back, let's see, time, because now you're not wasting time looking for things. You give yourself back money because you've probably repurchased things that you already have. For some people really stop having people over because of the state of their house.
Yeah,
So they actually get to give themselves almost like their life back, their freedom back there, to feel good about their home and to let people come in. It's oh my gosh, there's just so many, it's just it gives people that the negative self-talk disappears. You
huh,
start to feel not upset with yourself. You say, you know what, I'm not a failure, there's nothing wrong with me.
yeah,
And one of the things is too, clutter is very different for different people. So for you and I, our version of clutter might be very, maybe not, there's really minimalistic, but there's less. But some people, you can have a house full of things. I think this is where people have like a misconception. You can have things in your home.
sure.
The idea is to have the things that serve you and the things that you want there, that you purposefully have decided to have there, not things that have taken a hold of you and
Right.
made themselves stay and make you feel like you need to keep them. So clutter doesn't mean nothing. It means being able to function in your home and to have what you want. And I think
Yeah.
that's where people sometimes think, I know a lot of times people will say to me on phone, are you going to make me throw everything out? And I'm like, no, that's not
No.
my job. My job isn't to make you throw everything out. Not at all.
Yeah, no, it's just to give you space to have maybe surfaces that you can put some
Yes.
nice things that make you feel good. To me, when you're walking in a room, I like to see certain things in my room that make me feel good. It's just like, okay, now I know I'm home. I get that energy from that piece of artwork or from that statue or from that crystal or whatever the case may be, or my favorite book is there. But it's not like every little piece of paper that I've ever had, thrown into a stack or scattered all over the place. So I think of clutter as my son's room when he was younger. I was like, I don't even remember if there was a rug in there. And I thought pretty sure, I was pretty positive there was a rug in there, but everything was on the floor. And I was just like, why are we doing this? So, it's that kind of mentality. But there's also something to be said, and it's scientifically proven that sometimes when we're feeling self-esteem issues, we surround ourselves with stuff as opposed to people,
Yes.
because stuff is safe and doesn't talk back and doesn't judge. So we feel warm and cozy with all the stuff, but actually what it's doing is it's separating us further from interacting with other people. So, and that's a choice, and there's nothing wrong with either, but it's probably better for humanity to be connected, and I'm pointing to my heart, to be connected at the heart center by having other people around you. So I liken it to having a wall, a moat, and a wall. When you have too much stuff around you, people can't get to the real you because you're just inundated with this stuff and you can't use all of it. So why not give it a home and let someone use it? A quick story. I have a friend who her husband's mom passed away, and we had to, unfortunately, she passed away. We had to clean out her house. And when I was clean, this is when I learned my clutter lesson. She had stuff everywhere. It was neat. It was beautiful. But we went into her attic and she has these rows and rows and rows of clothes. She used to work for an old store I think it was Stein's, or it was one of the old name stores. And she used to get it on sale, and then she would put it up there for a special occasion or someday. And I wore one day, I want to know what someday is, when someday is, because I haven't found it yet. But she kept all these clothes. Unfortunately, they still had tags on them. They were perfectly good. We were able to donate them, so that was the good part about that. But she never got the opportunity to wear them because she had so much stuff. She had so much clothes. Even if she wore every single outfit, it would take her years to go through all of those clothes. And we have a propensity to use the first five that we can grab, as opposed to going
100%.
deep into the closet or going up into an attic or something like that. So that always reminds me is use the stuff. So I have good china. I use my china. And if it breaks, it breaks. It's unfortunate, but it happens. It's being used and it's being loved. So
Yeah.
I feel like, that's something that you give back to people as you organize. So it's organize by Jane, organizingbyjane.com is your website, and a quick phone call to a phone number for someone to reach out to you.
516-246-5350.
Awesome. All the information will be with the episode as well, so you can click on the website, go right to her, schedule an appointment. We're not done with Jan. We're going to come back and speak to Jan in our second half. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back, get more yumminess and some organizing hints. Be right back. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne, America's #1 Take Action Success Coach and Strategist. We're here today talking about getting organized. Yes, yes, yes. I love, love, love this topic with our good friend Jan Arkwright. She is from Organizing by Jan, organizingbyjan.com. You can go see her. But oh my gosh, you said a stat that I thought was staggering, and yet, yeah, it kind of applies to me too. In our clothes, what's the stat?
Well, when you were speaking about your closet, so we wear 20% of our clothing 80% of the time. We all go in, we pull, like you said, the same couple of things over and over. And most of our things just sit there.
Yeah.
And that's, why we may say, oh my gosh, we need this dress, we need this pair of shoes, we need this pair of pants, we need this bag. A lot of times it's not need, it's just want.
Yeah.
And if you break it down to what you really need is very little. And you can want more and have more, but at the root of it, we only wear it 20% of the time.
Amazing. And it's so funny that you said that. And it's so annoying too. And I'll tell you why it's annoying. My friend just moved down to South Carolina. When she moved, she decluttered, right? She didn't move everything. She reduced what she had, and she reduced it by about 80%. I'm like, why are you getting rid of 80% of your stuff? And she goes, because I'm not going to wear it. And I was like, no, you are. I can't believe you're going to end up going out and paying money and buying more stuff and blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, she has about 20% of her stuff. She doesn't buy anything new. She's wearing, and you wouldn't know it.
Right.
She always has a beautiful outfit on. She always looks magnificent. She's always
And you
really
know what? She was smart because she didn't pay. A lot of people do that before they move. They pay to move it to the other side. Declutter it before you move. Why are you going to pay it and then declutter it on the other end?
Yeah, yeah.
I always tell people, do that first.
I get that. And hopefully my partner's not listening to the 2080 because he's like, why are you buying another pair of shoes? Because I want to.
You want me to flip the stats? I'll flip the stats.
No, it's all good. We want real stats. So, okay, let's get down to it. What are the steps of getting organized? I want to get organized. Let's go. How do we do this?
So, well, if you're doing it with me, like I said, I would come
Well,
in
why
with,
wouldn't I do it with you?
oh,
I need an expert with me. To
and
say,
some
let go
people
of the sweater, Lorian. Let
Some
go.
people, and those are things I do. I would ask you because some people, and what you were saying before about the mindset of the holding on, we see that a lot, especially with people who have hoarding disorder, and people who have a lot of trauma in their past tend to obviously hold on to more things because it makes them feel secure. So there may be somebody like you that I could say to you, we're working, and I could say, okay, let's tackle this closet. I'm going to do this section, you do this section. And then there's other people who we actually have to be side by side the whole time. And I'm their accountability person.
Yeah.
I am their person who's basically, especially if you have problems with executive functioning, I'm the one helping you plan it. I'm helping with you keeping you on task, keeping you focused, and then asking the tough questions. You know, how often do you wear this, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So what we would do is we would start together. We always start, well, again, I start with what your goal is and what you're looking to have done. I never assume when I go into a house or an office, I never assume, like I might see a closet full of clutter and that doesn't bother you. You see the front hall closet with the shoes, and that's what you want to tackle. So we start with your area
Right.
and then everything comes out. Everything comes out. We pick it out, we do our sorting and our purging. And, the thing that I tell people is it didn't happen overnight. It's a process. It takes a while. And the faster you make decisions, the quicker it will go.
Sure.
So if you're a quick decision maker, it will move faster. And then from there, after we've gone through everything, that's when we figure out, well, how should we, do you need to purchase something? What do you need to purchase? We take into account who lives in the household, because like you said, everybody needs to be able, if something has a home, I call it the teapot, everybody knows where their teapot is. There's no question about it. Everything needs a home. And then the last step would be labeling it. Because if things are labeled, not everything, labeling, everybody can put it back. It shouldn't be that keeping a house organized comes down to one person. It should be
Right.
anybody can do it.
I love it. I'm laughing here because I'm visualizing a Sex in the City episode where she's cleaning out her closet, and so all the three girlfriends are sitting on the bed and they have signs, take it, leave it, what the heck was that? I loved that, and they were, on one dress they were all like, take it, the other one is like, lose it. So
Right.
it was really good. It's like, what were you thinking on that one? So I laugh because that's how it is. What if I don't have the means to have someone like you come in and organize? What steps can I take to start getting organized to get to a certain point where I then can bring you in?
So I always tell people, kind of we come up and I help people also to kind of do like a DIY plan, but the first step would be start with some place emotionally neutral. Don't start with the photos from your grandparents or when your kids were little. Start in a bathroom closet. Start in the linen closet. Start in a place that's easy, that the decisions come quickly and
Yeah.
it helps you build your decision-making muscle. So start there. I would tell them the same thing. Start small, set a timer, even 15 minutes. Set a timer for 15 minutes. Say, in that 15 minutes, I'm going to tackle this one drawer of kitchen utensils. And you take everything out, you do the sort and purge, you wipe out the drawer if necessary, you put everything back. When the timer goes off, if you're like, yeah, I can do this. I have more time. I'm on a roll. Set it for another 15 minutes. Or
Yeah.
know what? I think I can give it 30. Pick the next drawer. So very, very small steps would be the
Yeah.
first. I also tell people if you're going to be donating items, know where the donations are going before you even start. Because the last thing you want to do if you're cleaning out a closet or you're, china and you want to donate tchotchkes or things, have them all on the floor and you're like, now where should they go?
Yeah,
What
there's
should
a
I
place
do
called
with them?
Savers. They're all over Long Island.
Savers is
They
great.
support the Boys Club and Girls Club, and
Yep,
they actually pay for kind of like the Restore with Habitat for Humanity. They pay the administrative fees from their sell. And again, it's giving it another home. I love that thought.
exactly.
I just donated a whole set
Absolutely.
of dishes, and I know somewhere someone is using those Mikasa dishes that no longer serve me. And
Yep,
I didn't know I had two sets, but apparently I did. And
right.
so the donation, it makes you feel good too. So
Oh,
and you get
good.
a write-off.
Exactly. And, if some people, some neighborhoods have really, really active buy nothing groups. Post it on a buy nothing group, leave it at your curb, say, hey, you know what, curb alert, here you go. But
Yeah.
have a plan so that then the items don't sit there. If you're going to be bringing it to Savers, make sure you know, okay, I'm going to pack it up, put it in my car, go to Savers the next day. Or if you're getting a pickup, have the pickup called ahead of time so that you keep yourself accountable. And that's another thing. I always have people write it in their planner, in their calendar, in their wherever they keep it. You have to you have to make appointments with yourself, and then you have
Yes.
to stick to it like you would any other appointment. You have to honor that time. Because if you don't, if you say, oh, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow morning is vague. Pick a day and a time and write it down.
Yeah.
Turn off your phone, take the phone with, minimize distractions, because if you don't hold yourself accountable, there's always something better to be done,
Oh, sure.
especially now in the warmer months when people don't want to be inside doing this.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I call it non-negotiable. So it's kind of like a doctor's appointment. It's not negotiable. It doesn't get changed. You don't get to push it to tomorrow. You need to do it.
Right.
It's a commitment to yourself, and who's going to know? You are. You're going to feel it. You're going to know it's going to impact you. You don't even
Absolutely.
realize how the nonverbal is going to impact you. So it's real important for you to
Mhm.
do that. I love, love, love this. So start small. Definitely use the space system, sort it, purge it, assign it a home, containerize it, and then equalize it so that you can maintain. So this is all good stuff here. So how do you organizers help someone who has a hard time of letting go items? What do you do?
So it's a lot of talking through. So we ask some items are just difficult to get rid of, and some items are like really sentimental and very difficult. So, going back to when was the last time you used the item? Could it be replaced for $20 in 20 minutes?
No,
Would you pay somebody to move it?
no,
I even do like the X test. Like if you left this item at your ex's house, would you go to his or her house to pick it up? How much is it really worth to you?
that's a
Um,
good one.
so you kind of start to really say, and how many of these do I have? That kind of thing. If it's a memory, this is where it gets hard for everybody. Everybody has sentimental items. I have sentimental items that it's hard to part with. Um, there's a great book by Matt Paxton. It's called Keep the Memory, Lose the Stuff. And that's exactly kind of what you want to do. You want to keep the memory but lose the item. So it could be take a picture of the item, and you don't have to get rid of everything. I tell people, come, find a container. Let's come up with a container and have all of your memories fit in that container. So,
Right.
and then it's really deciding because if
But we have
everything,
this container.
ex exactly,
We have the brain. That's
the
our
brain
container. Our
is
heart. That's
the
our
best.
container.
And it's exactly that. It's keep the memory but lose the item because really the item was just an item.
Oh my gosh,
Reassigning,
Jen, I had every art project each of my boys ever did, every piece of school paper. I had them in bins. I'm a Sterilite girl, right? So
yep,
they both had bins, and I had I was like, what am I going to do with this? So I took one or two pieces, I took pictures to remember them, and I
exactly.
framed one piece for each. So I still have that as a memory. It reminds me of all the other pieces, but these were my favorite pieces. That was the only way I could contend with it. And that allowed me to move on and discard the rest of them. But oh my gosh, like what am I going to do with his math paper from third grade? Why?
Right.
Why?
Because we all have, right. Because why? Because why? And that's the great thing too about time and space. The item loses its value mostly when you separate yourself from it. So I also tell people if there's things you really can't part with right now, let's put them in a box. Let's put a date on the box and let's revisit the box. Half the time, you can't remember what was in the box. And if
Yeah.
you can't remember what was in the box, that's like when we are decluttering and somebody we come across them like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen this. I love this was the best. Okay, so can we donate it? No, we can't donate it. Like, well, you haven't seen it in 2 years. How much can it mean to you? So once you see the item, then you all of a sudden it brings back those emotions.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes I don't let the client hold the item because when you touch it, it makes it harder to let go. So I kind of take that away from them and we look at an item, we discuss it. But exactly that. And I can tell you one thing right now, I guarantee if you said to your children, would you like all these back? They'd be like, no, we
Oh,
don't.
I did. Oh no, he was like, why? And I'm like,
Right.
well, oh,
Exactly. So
why?
why am I saving them? Right.
I'm like,
Exactly.
oh, all right. No, you don't want to
Because
keep
our
any of
kids
these to
don't
show
want our
your kids
stuff.
one day. They were like,
Right.
no. I was like, all right. So
Yep.
again, I take pictures. And
Yes.
so, and I guarantee you, I will not, I probably won't. And I put them in folders on my phone too. So like, these are the pictures from him, and this is the pictures from the, so but I guarantee you, unless somebody asks me a question, I'm probably not going back and looking at these pictures that I'm keeping either. But one step at a
That's
time
right.
to
Right.
like
One step at a
wean
time. Right.
yourself off. I get that. And I've always had a philosophy that getting organized is akin to self-care. How do you feel about that?
It's 100%. I always say that you have to be ready to be organized. You have to really want it. But when you start to, and it's kind of, it can flip flop. Like I find that my clients who get organized, then when they start to get organized, that carries over into other areas. They
Yes.
look around and they say, you know what, I'm going to start exercising again. You know what, I'm going to start going back to that crocheting project because now I know where it is. So it starts to evolve. And then there are people who are on like weight loss journeys. And as they start to feel better about themselves, because it always comes back to your self-esteem, it carries over into other areas. So they're losing weight and then they're looking around like, I'm going to clean out my closet. When I start to clean out my closet, you know what? I'm going to start cleaning the rest of my house. So they're very akin to each other. Once one area of your life you start to feel better about, it carries over. I'm going to start that exercise routine now. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to get
Well,
organized.
you have more time because you're not looking at all this clutter and it's not deflating you and making you want to sit down because it's overwhelming. You have more energy. I find I get more energetic. I also clean when I'm upset. So, when I start to get upset and I start organizing stuff, people are like, "Rogue, duck and cover." But but it's just for me therapeutic because then I can get out of my head and I focus on something else, and then through the process then I start thinking more rational about what upset me, right? But I'm doing two things at once. But that feeling when it's very energizing when you are organized, when you walk in and have that feeling, that just feeling of I got this and I have control. It does actually give you control back, which I thought was very interesting
It
that
does.
that you really feel like you have more control, and
Hmm.
the decision-making process is kind of interesting as well. Do you find this with your clients? I find I get to a point, and when I start looking at things and backtracking, I start to put things back on the pile. I'm not allowed to do that, so I stop doing. That's
Right.
my stop point. I'm like, nope, I'm not making good decisions now. I'm exhausted. I can't continue. Is that something
Right.
you see?
Yes, definitely. There comes a point, which is why, like, client sessions, I always, I say my minimum is 3 hours. I could go all night long, like the Energizer Bunny, but for most people, 3 to 4 hours is a lot. And even for someone who has ADHD, where every decision is really a hard emotion, like it takes a lot out of them. 3 hours might be the max. And then I just say, we call it. I usually take donations with me. I don't leave them on site. I mean, sometimes I do, depending upon the client but a lot of clients, I'm not going to leave it because they might go back and start to second guess a decision. So, nope. So the bag is going to come with me.
Yes. Oh, that's brilliant. I didn't think of that. That's absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think I play a little mind game with myself as if I'm moving. So I pretend that I'm moving and okay, what am I going to take? What am I not going to take? And I go through it and it makes it a little faster. Again, same girlfriend who moved down to South Carolina. When she was going through, she goes, "It's when you move, it's a three-step process." I put four up, but three-step process. The first time you go through and it's like, okay, and you get rid of some of the stuff. Second time you go through, you're getting rid of more stuff. By the third time, you're barely keeping stuff. So she
Mhm.
says it's definitely three steps. You have to go through the three steps. And I'm like on step two. I'm going through the second time around and I'm like, why did I keep this again? And you just have a different mindset because now you've gotten over the separation anxiety. Now you've gotten over giving stuff away, finding new homes for them. Because I don't want to put stuff in the landfill. And also it's good. It makes me feel guilty. Something perfectly fine is going to get thrown out. I can't do that. So the Savers thing is beautiful. It goes to something beautiful. It's
Yep.
easy. You just drive up. They have outside bins. You
Drive
put it
up.
in the bin, you drive away. You don't go in
Yep.
a store. You don't have to see other stuff. You don't have, it's really actually a brilliant thing. The last question I have for you is what are some misconceptions about using professional organizers like yourself?
Um, well, I think the biggest one is people think we're either going to come in and make you throw everything out or we're going to throw everything out, which is never the case. The ultimate decision always rests with the client. We
Sure.
might try to guide you one way or the other, but the decision rests with you. Um, I think people are afraid too. People are afraid to reach out to organizers because they are afraid that they're going to bring this person into their house and this person is going to judge them, which is absolutely not the case.
No, yeah,
First thing people say, my house is a mess. You've never seen it. No, you've never seen it worse, never. And our in general organizers, my answer is always, we've seen it all and we're not here looking at that. We're not judging you. We
right,
are here to help you.
right.
So I think people think that they're going to be judged. People feel that a sense of maybe, why can't I? Like there's a shame, like I should be able, why am
Yeah.
I paying somebody to come in and help me when I should be able, look, Lorianne can do it. Why can't I?
Time
And
efficiency. No, when you have somebody else there. When my
exactly.
bestie was there with me, it went so much faster because she's like, really? And I'm like, all right. And and because she's my friend, she spoke to me like that. And I know you would never do that, but you would ask those questions and it makes it easier. It makes it more fun to have somebody there with you, helping you make those decisions. There's nothing
Yep,
to be embarrassed about. There's nothing to be shy about. It's
there
a really
isn't.
good feeling and you're going to be so happy that you did it. Jan, you are amazing. I'm so glad that we have Organizing by Jan here. So glad that you're out there. Everybody, please go to organizingbyjan.com. She will help you get everything in order for your spring cleaning so your summer will not be spent putting things away because you know where it belongs. And you can enjoy yourself on the beach because Jan's going to help you out in no time. So, again, website is organizingbyjan.com and a phone number to reach you again, Jan.
516, I forgot my phone number, 246 5350.
That's okay. You were organizing in your brain, so you didn't
I
have to know.
was, I
It's all
was.
good. Thank you so much for being with us today. And
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much for having me.
And thank you all for joining us today again on Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I hope we earned the privilege of your time. Again, I want to thank our guest. She's superstar Jan Arkwright from organizingbyjan.com. Go check her out. Look for our show next Saturday at 3 p.m. on GVC Broadcasting and iHeartRadio, of course. And of course, we can be found on all major platforms, and we would be so grateful if you please like, follow, share, and subscribe. Share it with your friends. Sharing is caring. And always make sure that you take a moment for yourself. Enjoy this beautiful weather. Walk outside. Just take in the air, enjoy the beautiful day. In the meantime, until next time, I am Coach Lorianne, America's #1 Take Action Success Coach and Strategist. Let your dreams be bigger than your fears and let your life be filled with joy and organized. See you next time.